What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and I am so excited to be here with Isaac Calpito, aka Isaac Boots, as he's better known. What's up, Isaac?
Hi, baby. Hi.
Hi.
Tell me everything.
Of course, I've known Isaac for years at this point because I used to take your class in Soul Cycle.
Yes, I remember. And you were damn good. You were really good.
What a compliment.
Yeah, it's true.
I want to get into your whole history and your story, but to get people up to current.
Do we have a few hours?
So I met you at Soul Cycle, and we'll basically flash forward and then work our way backwards. But I met you at Soul, was a huge fan of your class, and the Soul Annex opened, which was basically this sort of companion studio to Soul Cycle, and that was where I first took your Torched class.
Yes, it was kind of a cool avenue for me to bring Torched to the masses, to bring Torched in a group environment. I had cultivated it basically, I think 2010 when I was in West Side Story on Broadway, and I literally created it on the Palace Theater stage. For me, the intention was not to make it this global thing. The intention was, okay, Isaac, you're in the theater all day long because you're doing arguably the hardest and most visceral dancing show on Broadway. I mean, it was Jerome Robbins' original choreography. We took it very seriously.
And how did you first meet John Hill back in the day?
John Hill is one of my babies. He's a part of my old school group. We were on Broadway together and years ago. And that's actually how I met Andy Cohen back in the day when they were together. It was a long time. It was Jesus Christ. It was 2002, maybe 2003. And I don't know. It's cool to see all of my friends on this journey, either here or LA, reinventing ourselves and yet staying true to who we are,
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. John Hill and I met in a cult classic show called Bear, a pop opera. And we were in the original cast, and we were kids, and we were 20 and 21, and just really had an amazing, very special experience on that show. It was a very small cast with a really rabid, kind of obsessive cult following, with teenagers and young adults. And it dealt with issues that weren't talked about yet, that weren't popular to talk about, being gay and being an adolescent and wrestling with that, and religion, and just things that I grew up experiencing. So it felt very sort of natural and and cathartic for me to be a part of that. But anyway, that being said, by the time I did West Side Story, I had been on Broadway for years. I'd done the eight shows a week, and I felt that with West Side, I didn't have time to go to the gym. I didn't have time to run in the park like I usually did in my other shows. And so I was like, you know what? I need to create something that I can do anywhere, in my dressing room, in a trailer, on the stage, wherever I am, to not only stay lean, to stay fit, but prepare myself to be at my optimum level, and perform full out 8 shows a week. And so I created it there. And it's there that I started doing it alone on the stage, an hour before the show started, and slowly but surely other members of the cast would join in, and I would have my little boombox with Madonna playing.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course.
After a few, of course, hello. And after a few weeks, slowly but surely, I had 50 people from the cast on stage doing it. And I found myself instructing them or just calling out orders and laughing and having a joke or whatever. And I loved it. And it sort of just grew from there. I started choreographing for pop stars. I moved out to LA, and I would start every rehearsal with the artist or the dancers with a mini Torched.
Mm-hmm.
That turned into a full out Torched, and then went into the rehearsal, just because I knew as a dancer, as a performer, you can't just go in and okay, here's a dance. Let's dance. I wouldn't get everything out of them, and the performance would actually suffer. Especially if we're on a press tour, you have to be on the top of your game. That was what really I loved. I found that Torched and the methodology of it and teaching it and believing in it and doing it for myself is really where my heart was. And that's sort of what people wanted. Mm-hmm. So I just sort of As Madonna once sang, go with the flow, baby. Okay.
And basically, like, the reason why, you are the moment right now, like, you are it. You are the theater. You are the moment. And basically, in this quarantine, you have been able to harness all of this energy and really create an entire community around this workout that you created. And you're doing it live on Instagram every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Every single day. You've raised over $200,000 for charity for No Kid Hungry. We're going to get into, your celebrity clients that you train, but part of the way that you've been really able to elevate the platform of Torched is that so many celebrities are doing it and they're shouting it out. Like Lisa Rinna shouted you out on Watch What Happens Live because she legit does it every single morning. And the proof is because she's commenting in the damn live every day.
She is one of my favorite human beings. Not only is she beautiful to look at, but more importantly, she is a beautiful soul and just a wonderful girl, and she was the first one that I did a joint Torched live with. And so she split screened with me and we raised over 15 grand and she was just festive and so kind. By the way, she's in LA. So it's 8 a.m. there. And for anyone who's lived in LA, no, working out at 8 a.m. in LA is like not a thing. Especially
during a quarantine where you don't have to wake up for anything.
Yeah. So it's very cool to have her a part of the Torched family, and a vocal member. So I love her very, very much. And, Jessica Chastain and her grandmother, who's in her 80s with her ankle weights on, looking amazing. That's what I mean. Yes, of course, I work in Hollywood. Yes, of course, I work with a lot of celebrities, but I'm not from that. I'm from a small town in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So I love that I connect with people who are like my family as well. People who I came from, people who I am. And so everyone from, Christy Turlington to Naomi Watts to Kelly Ripa to Tattoo Mom 71 in Kentucky, to people in Guatemala, to people in Portugal who I've never met, Paris, Italy, Toronto, all over the continental US, Tokyo, Australia. Like, it's dope. And I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed. I'm so happy that I think you can agree with me. Don't you feel like there's such a, I feel like everyone's just nice. Like they're cool. It's not like elitist and like weird. Like everyone's just like sweet and fun and cheering each other on. And like if someone's like,
one of the best comments was somebody literally wrote, "How are people doing this?"
Yes, wait, that killed me. No, how are you people doing this? How are you people doing this? I love it.
Now here's the question: what percentage of people do you think are actually doing the workout versus people who are just watching it?
I don't know. I mean, I do think that, first of all, I just love that people are on, because at the end of the day, that's part of it too. It's more than a workout. And that's what I've always said. So you can work out and get to your goals ultimately in many, many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't create this wheel. To be honest, I don't even think I am reinventing it. I'm just doing what I do and what I love. And I wanted to offer something, make a little bit of a difference in the world, whether that's just like put a smile on someone's face, lift someone's ass, raise some money for kids who need it. So the ratio thing, I don't really know, but I feel like from the messages I get, I feel like a lot of people are just doing as much as they can,
mm-hmm.
which is everything. That to me is real training. That's how I trained as a dancer, showing up every day and doing as much as I can every day, whatever that means.
Now, an amazing article on you just came out. Was it in Style?
There have been a few.
The one that was just utterly hilarious.
I'm just kidding.
I want to read you a quote from the In Style piece on you, because this writer captured it in a way far better than I could ever describe it to the listeners who haven't yet taken Torched. Quote, "If his workouts were a religion, I'd volunteer for a gig as a disciple." Okay. And celebs love his horny workout, and so do I.
I thought it was hilarious that he said horny. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then he was like, well, hello, like it's like Madonna, you're in short shorts. It's a moment. I'm a dancer. Like, that's what I work out in. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is very much part of the reason it's so alluring. Well, listen, a workout is a workout and it's a fantastic workout. But the reason why it has exploded is because of your personality. And I think everybody knows that. And what's so unique about the whole experience is that you're actually, I mean, it's kind of like watching a reality show. Like, you talk about the guys you're dating, you talk about, like, it's almost like, are
How
you,
dare you? How dare you bring that up when I'm feeling so alone?
I mean, there have been like two romantic interests that have like been like full blown characters in your online.
Listen, I am a really transparent person, and I like to be festive, and I also like to have a sense of humor about things, because if you can't have a laugh, like, damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know what I mean? And I think that's what is attracting people to it, because I'm also very inclusive. You know, I want that. I want it to be a party. I want it to be a moment. And like, look, if I'm having a bad day, you'll see my Joan Crawford meltdowns.
Oh, you had full meltdowns during Torched.
But then I tease myself about it. I'm like, see, I'm really low maintenance. I promise. And everyone's like, you're insane. I'm like, oh, well.
I was thinking about this the other day. Are you like a Howard Stern fan?
Of course, darling.
This analogy came to me the other day, and I realized that for me, the whole Torched community, what you've created, in a way reminds me of the Howard Stern show. DJ Steph is Robin. Okay? And the commenters and everybody who now you bring up, like the regulars, like you have your two friends, Dr. Jake Deutsch and Brian Atwood, who's a famous shoe designer. And you have all these people become characters in the whole theme of it. They're your whack pack.
That's so funny. I love that. I love that.
Now, like, your followers, they become part of their lives in the way that, like, the whack pack becomes part of the show. Like, Lisa Rinna's in the whack pack. You get it? Because now she's part of it. Now you named a move after her, the Rinna.
I did, the Rinna, and isn't that? And it's so her. And that was another sort of like organic thing. It was not, okay, guys, let's create a move. It was just we did the live, and I saw her leg on that move, and I was like, you look amazing. We're calling this the Rinna because you actually do it better than me. So I mean, it looks better.
It's just so fun how everything in your life becomes fodder. Like, during this pandemic, you have made, like the guys you're trying to date, everything is this reality show soap opera that clearly
the guys who are trying to date me. Okay, I'm not trying to date anybody. Well, maybe one. But we won't go there.
So let's go back. You grew up in Hawaii, and you like, at what age did you start dancing? Like, how did you realize that you had this talent?
I mean, I've been dancing out of the womb. You know, I mean, there's a great picture of me at, I think, at like 11 months old. And I'm like on the beach, and I'm under this like outdoor shower. I'm probably naked, but you can only see me from the waist up. My hair's long. And I'm literally doing a Madonna like moment under the water, just like throwing my head back, like mouth open. You know, I think I've always had a festive and free spirit. I was very different, clearly, from the other boys in my school and the other boys in my neighborhood. I come from a very sort of masculine machismo family, very Catholic, deeply religious. I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then like Protestant prep school for high school. So I'm very conservative, and I'm just not that person, you know? I don't begrudge it. I actually really loved the sort of rigid Catholic upbringing that I had, because it gave me structure, it gave me a great work ethic, and it gave me something to rebel against in some way, to want to express myself. And of course, I have to. This
sounds awfully familiar.
Well, this is the thing. Madonna was literally, I mean, I know this sounds over the top, but it's the goddamn truth. She was, aside from my grandmother, who was the only person who really showed me like unconditional love and I felt completely safe with, and who encouraged me to follow my passions. Madonna was really a beacon of light for me as a kid, because, you know, she released Like a Prayer And I was 9 years old, and I was in a Catholic school uniform in a school that I felt completely out of place. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's me. I want to be dancing in front of the burning cross.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kiss Jesus' feet. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it became a whole, like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's like, she understands me. And then she was actually talking about boys like me and saying that it's okay and showing it, and like being surrounded by dancers who looked like me and acted like me and loved them and showcased them and put them on her stage and loved them. And I was like, oh my God, like, okay, so I don't have to be like vilified or demonized for who I am. And so I found solace in her. I found solace in theater, and basically was dancing and acting and singing from a very young age. And I moved to New York when I was 17, the day after high school graduation. I took a one-way ticket. I had no money. I had no place to live. I lived in my best friend at the time, Matthew Tinker. He was a freshman or a sophomore at NYU. And I lived on his dormitory floor on 7th and Avenue B, and just auditioned every goddamn day. I was taking dance class at Steps on the Upper West Side every day for hours. I would go to casting directors and just knock on doors and be like, hi, my name is Isaac. I need to be on Broadway. Like, I didn't have an agent. I didn't know the protocol. I just knew I wanted it. And so I think a lot of the casting directors got a kick out of me because I wasn't like nervous. I was doing everything you weren't supposed to do. Like, you don't show up to a casting director's office. You just don't do that.
Right.
At all. Like, people wait in line for the like cattle calls. And I was like, I don't do that, darling. I was like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know where I got that from, but I was like, look, I know I'm really goddamn good, and I know that I have the fire, and I'm certainly not as bad as that person on Broadway. So
right.
I was like, well, put me in a show. They were like, who are you? Like, what is happening? But I eventually did it, and I worked my ass off, and thankfully was cast in many shows. And I always say that I went to college on Broadway. You know, I learned everything that I need to know for what I do and for what I love. And I learned the importance of professionalism. I learned the importance of community. I learned the importance of family. I have dear friends from shows that I did years ago. It's like we grew up together, you know?
I love it. You know, when I believe this was the day I met you. I remember going up to you after class because like I fell in love with you immediately. And this is harkening back to how you were saying Madonna was this beacon of hope for you. And I said, for some reason, it was just like, why is it Isaac Boots? You know, like, what is Boots? And you gave me the answer. And that this is a question that you really, I don't know, from what I can tell, people don't really like inquire much about, but talk about because this is also what made me so strongly connect with you, because I too had that same experience with Madonna growing up, and she is the soundtrack to my life. And she is the single greatest influence on my life. So I'll ask you again now in a more formal way. Why is it Isaac Boots?
That is a nickname and a moniker that was bestowed upon me in high school because I would show up to the dance studio every day in my tights or shorts like this and boots. I don't know. I was obsessed with like combat boots, and it was the 90s. It was a moment, and I mean, I still am sort of obsessed with boots. I have an array of them, but they call me that because in Hawaii it was sort of not. No one's wearing, or at least when I was there, no one was wearing boots, like at all. It just sort of stuck, and throughout my career and theater experience, it stuck there. And then when social media happened, I didn't like how Isaac Calpito looked. You know what I mean? Like the C next to the C. And so I was like, well, everyone calls me Isaac Boots, and it just looked better and sounded better. So I was like, well, here we go. And
so the Madonna connection to the boots? I remember when you told me this years ago. You said you were upset. You made somebody get you the boots that she wore in Desperately Seeking Susan.
How dare you bring this up? Yes, it is true. Well, Desperately Seeking Susan is the reason I wanted to move to New York when I was a kid. I didn't know, like, to me, it was like the personification of freedom and who I was and who I wanted to be. And so I wanted that goddamn leather jacket. I wanted her boots. I wanted her boyfriend. I wanted the glasses. Like, I wanted the cigarette. Sorry, I know it's a health and wellness moment, but like, I just wanted the whole moment. I wanted the cheese puffs. Okay, like,
you wanted to dry your armpits in a bathroom hair dryer,
and I still do. Okay, well, pre Corona,
yeah,
of course. Yeah, I really wanted it.
I love it. So I guess since we're on the topic of Madonna, cut to you are dancing on Live with Regis and Kelly, or whatever it was, Kelly and Ryan with Madonna. So here is my question. Did you know that Kelly was going to bring you on stage?
Okay, so Kelly is one of my dearest friends. Like, not like Hollywood dear friend, like actual, like, we love each other for years. And as everyone knows, Kelly is a huge Madonna fan as well. And so, Kelly and I work out all the time, and basically the playlists are exclusively Madonna. And we just have a lot of fun together. And she called me like a few days before M was on. That's what we call Madonna. We call her M.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm not on that level with Madonna yet.
And she was like, "Oh my God, M is gonna be on my show." She was like, "Good luck. You need to be there, okay?" And so I was there, and I didn't. To be honest, I knew that Kelly had something up her sleeve because she was adamant. She was like, "You need to be here. It's a moment." And so I'm in the front row, and I have like prime seating and and Madonna walks on looking glorious in that pink. I think it was Moschino. And Kelly starts dancing with M, and you see it. There's video footage where Kelly's like, Isaac, go. And I start dancing with M, and Madonna's face like lit up.
You had already met her. She has an awareness of who you are.
Oh, of course. I was very lucky to have gone to her famous but very private Oscar parties. Mm-hmm. And, we danced the night away together until the wee hours. And she's always been very, very sweet to me. Very, very sweet. And by the way, that day that I danced with Madonna on Kelly, in the commercial break, when she was getting her makeup retouched, unsolicited, she ran across the stage and jumped on my lap and gave me a big kiss and hugged me. And was literally sitting on me for like 5 minutes. And Kelly Ripa was taking photos of us, and Madonna was like posing and like kissing my cheek and just like that moment. And I was like, my 6-year-old self just died and went to gay heaven. Uh-huh. Okay, like what? Like, to think when I was 6 that Madonna would be like sitting on my lap was like, I mean, that's like canonization. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
can I tell you the funniest thing? When I was in college, I interned at ABC News. So I had this ABC pass to get me in the building. And at this time, it was Regis and Kelly. This was 2003.
Oh, yeah. And Madonna went on to promote American Life.
Oh, this is my moment. This is my story.
She had brunette hair. She had a beret.
She's wearing a beret. Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first time Kelly met Madonna, too.
Oh, really?
I think it was.
Interesting. Yeah. So I knew Madonna was going on the show, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I have access into this building. Like, I intern here. So I get, obviously, like, I can go in the building. I sneak backstage, and it's the only people there. I don't know how I wasn't thrown out of the building.
Well, it's very small, too.
It was myself, Gelman, and Madonna. Just the three of us. She's waiting to go on, and I think she had just performed on MTV Like a Prayer for the first time in years.
Oh, it was the MTV On Screen and On the Record.
Yes. Yes. And it was this amazing performance. So these were the two things I said to her. I said to her, I loved your performance of Like a Prayer yesterday. And she said, thank you. And then.
Did she blink a lot?
I don't remember that.
She's like, thank you.
And then I offered her an Altoid. And she declined.
Of course. She's like, what?
Can you believe? And that was my moment. And then I was like, I can like die now. Like I did it. What else is there to do?
That's so cool. I love that.
The best.
I love that. That was the pseudo British accent era, right?
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it.
As we love it. We love it.
Like you, I love a gap. I love a gap tooth. I love a pseudo British accent. I know. So how did you get invited? I mean, I know that we're going to talk about your relationship with Faye Dunaway, but how did you get invited to her Oscar party?
The first one, I was working a lot with Ariana Grande. I choreographed her music videos and stage performances for the first few years of her career. And Ariana got the invite, and Ariana brought me as her date. But Madonna approves every person that comes to the party. So she has to approve the date.
Wow.
It's a very strict guest list, like to the point where there are a few police barricades in the hills to even get past. And it was amazing. And she was so beautiful and so sweet. That's sweet. But yeah, she was just cool. She was just like very down to earth and looked you in the eye and firm handshake and like full on conversation. Then we were dancing and it was sweet. And then I went again with Faye Dunaway, who I was Faye's date to the Oscars 2 years ago. And we of course went to M's party. And that was when I walked in with Faye, and Madonna was wearing like, it looked like black, very small, tight shorts and like a bra and a kind of a police hat and like high heel boots. And she saw me and her face lit up, and she ran to me, wrapped her arms around me and screamed, "Isaac, my workout bitch."
Oh my God.
Faye Dunaway looks over and says, "Did she just call you a bitch?" And I was like, this is too much. Like, first of all, I grew up obsessing over Mommy Dearest, like one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
And of course, Madonna was my queen. So I was like, where am I? Like, how is this happening?
And wasn't Warren Beatty there as well? Or like, this was like the year that Faye and Warren did the closing, like they announced Best Picture. So there is that photo of you with Faye and Warren Beatty. I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah. It was a moment. And the Warren connection. I actually just thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was me, Dick Tracy, Mommy Dearest, and M. It was kind of a moment.
Happy 30th anniversary of I'm Breathless, by the way.
Great album. I love that album.
So how did you start to train Faye Dunaway, of all people?
Funny story. Twitter had just started, and Kelly and I were sort of tweeting each other a lot because it was just like a new thing. We just thought it was like fun and like ridiculous.
Were you training Kelly at the time?
Yes. And Kelly and I we love Mommy Dearest as well. So we quote that a lot.
Yeah.
So we have a lot in common like that. We both love Madge and we both love Faye Dunaway. And so we were tweeting quotes from Mommy Dearest and hashtagging Faye Dunaway. We didn't know that Faye Dunaway even had a Twitter. And then her son, Faye's son, Liam, DM'd me on Twitter. And, his father was Terry O'Neill, who sadly just passed. He was the major photographer who took the very famous photo of Faye the morning after she won the Oscar by the pool. I think it was the Beverly Hills Hotel. And so he DM'd me and said, "Hey, I see that you're a celebrity trainer and you like my mom." So she's actually looking for a trainer, and she's in New York, and she needs someone of your caliber who's used to working with stars, because that is another beast. It's a very certain personality that you need to work with high profile people. It's you have to not be afraid. You have to be not starstruck. You have to just get the job done. You have to be trustworthy. I was like dying inside. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, of course. And the next morning, Faye Dunaway rings my doorbell and is in my apartment.
Isaac, that's fucking crazy.
Faye Dunaway, looking glorious, beautiful, immense Gucci sunglasses. And I trained her in my living room, and we hit it off. And literally we became really great friends, and we've been great friends ever since.
I was actually in one of your Soul Cycle classes. She came in maybe like 15 minutes after it started. You're like, "Hey, Faye," and I remember saying to my friends, like, "Faye Dunaway was in my Soul Cycle class." Like, that's very unusual. You know, it's not Kelly Ripa who's like always kind of around.
No, and because Faye is very private too. So if she feels comfortable with you, then you know she's very loyal, and she's a great friend.
And how did you start training Gwyneth Paltrow?
She, again, her assistant reached out to me on my website's email, and I was really excited about that. He was like, you know, he was like, I see that you're in the Hamptons, and Gwyneth Paltrow would love to train with you privately. What's your availability? And we just made it work. And she, like, from the moment I met her, was just such a ray of light. Really, really, really funny and grounded and present, hard worker. And we just hit it off too, you know. Goop reached out to me to teach Torch at their first Goop in Health wellness event in Austin, Texas. And it was so great. It was such a really great experience. So they flew me out, and I got to do my thing and meet these amazing people there. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to work with these people who've accomplished such amazing things in their lives, and yet they're cool. They're just like nice and generous and kind and fun. So I feel very, very blessed like that.
What has been the best piece of advice or the biggest takeaway you've ever gotten from one of these truly famous people?
That's a great question. Arthur Lawrence, actually. Do you know who he is? He wrote West Side Story. He wrote Gypsy. He discovered Barbra Streisand. He wrote and directed The Way We Were. He's a legend, icon. He directed me in West Side Story, which he wrote in the 50s. So he was 92 at the time. He became a really, really important mentor to me. And he told me something very interesting. He said, "Isaac, I just want you to remember, when you're riding a high and you're really successful, you need to act like you have nothing. And when you're down in the dumps and no one's hiring you, and it seems like you don't have the things that make you happy, you need to act like you have everything." And it was the most prolific and wise advice I've ever gotten, because it sort of has helped me navigate and just do my thing without being distracted by what other people are doing or what other people are saying, or how big my bank account is, or how many major clients I have or don't have, or if I have press out or if I don't, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It kept me clear.
And helps you weather and navigate the ups and downs of not only professional life, but also just life.
Yeah, navigates the natural ups and downs of life and career, and keep me humble and yet keep me ambitious, right? So that line between humility and ambition. I'm not always perfect at it. I fuck up all the time, but I hear that voice, mm-hmm. you know, and it does help me.
I love that. How did you get hooked up with Lisa Rinna?
Lisa Rinna, I brought Torch to Coachella a few years ago to do Torch, which is another cool thing about my experiences, is that I've been so fortunate to be able to do these big events like Art Basel and Coachella and Paris Fashion Week, and just like Golden Globes and the Oscars, just really cool. But this was particularly fun because it was for Coachella, and it was at the Parker Hotel in Palm Springs, mm-hmm. which Faye Dunaway ironically used to always stay at, sort of in the 1970s heyday. And there's a glorious picture of her in the lobby holding a full glass of Dom Perignon, and she's sort of sipping it, but you can see her face through the glass. It's so chic.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I took a photo of it and sent it to her. And she's been sober since 1990 or 91, and she was like, "Damn, I miss those days." She was like, "I would love a martini right now. Damn it." But she has a great sense of humor too.
Mm-hmm.
But I met Lisa there. She was staying at the Parker. I think is her either her girls or someone wanted to go to Coachella, and I think I may be fucking that story up. But she was there, and she took Torch. She woke up early, baby. I think it was like an 8 a.m. Torch, and it was, of course, it was live in person, and we hit it off, and we started following each other on social and DMing each other and liking each other's posts and laughing, and we have very similar senses of humor as well. And she's been really, really great and really generous with her time and her words and her action. So.
I mean, she, like I said, she is in there every single day, and she was in there from the beginning.
From the beginning, when I had 100 viewers,
mm-hmm.
Right? He's like, "Hey, baby, like you're just cute, very, very cute." I also love that, but that's what I love too. I feel like everyone feels comfortable and happy to comment, you know, like Naomi Watts started taking Torch last week. We met once. I don't know if you did Torch this morning, but I told a story on it. I told a story on it. I said, "Naomi, you know, we actually met once." And I said, you won't remember it because it was a festive night, but it was at Madonna's Oscar party. And she was like, "Did we dance?" I was like, "Yes, we did, baby." And she was like, "Oh my God." It was just cute. I love that people are just like, I don't know. It feels nice, you know, that people are comfortable.
Now, something that has been particularly amusing to me, you know, like I said before, you know, like this is, you know, like a Bravo, like Housewives, you know, focused podcast. It has been, you know, because I know you from a specific part of my life, which is, you know, like I'm really into fitness. I've been taking your class at Soul Cycle for years, you know, and now doing Torched in person. And now that you've, you know, created the online platform for it. And so it's been very amusing for me to observe how these housewives, namely Ramona, Jill Zarin, they are all up in your shit now.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe it may be the Lisa connection, or maybe it's the fact that Andy Cohen is my future husband and he doesn't know it.
You know, this was something I was going to bring up to you, which is
I love Andy. I love him.
Are you ready to be a father?
You know, I always wanted a kid. I tried 7 times with my ex. I lost them all. You know, I love children. I do. And look, and if the opportunity, you know, I mean, I have to cross that bridge when I get there, but I can be a mother and a father to a kid. I can teach them to amount to something, be something. I know I could.
You know, you share 2 of your best friends, Kelly Ripa and John Hill, with Andy. So clearly you've met a million times at this point.
Andy and I are great, and I love him very much. And what's really funny is I can't tell you. It's really funny though.
Come on.
Okay, I'll tell you. Actually, just yesterday, Kelly sent me a photo of me and Andy at her pool in the Hamptons, and she was like, "This was 2 Memorial Days ago," and I was like, "Does this mean we're getting married?" She was like, "Well, you guys do look hot." I was like, "Duh." I'm like, "Make it work, girl." Hello.
Getting married in Crema?
In Crema. I did say that, actually.
Did you really?
I really did.
Oh, my God. Something that I didn't mention when you were talking about Faye Dunaway. I was going to, like, throw in how, like, she also, like, didn't she embarrass you in front of Timothée Chalamet?
She embarrassed me in front of a reporter. At the Academy Awards, we're sitting there at a commercial break, and Timothée was nominated for Call Me By Your Name that year. And, you know, I absolutely adore that film. And I am, of course, smitten with him. And particularly then, like, it was in that, like, moment because it had just come out. And Faye announces across the theater, basically. Timothée Chalamet. And he looked, and everyone sort of looked because it was like a lot, because Faye is Faye. And she goes, "You must meet my friend Isaac Calpito. He's absolutely in love with you." And I was like, "Thanks, sweetie. I'm gonna die right now." And Nicole Kidman's like, "Okay." Like everyone's like, "Who?" Like, who is that? I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you." I was like, "Oh my God, see you in Crema." Anyway, but she means well.
I obviously like the number one question that you are getting asked right now, which is what's going to happen when the quarantine is over. I mean, well, listen, the quarantine may go on for some time, but basically what is your plan for, you're not going to do it on Instagram Live for free. Basically this is free every single day. I can put two and two together. You're going to have your own app or platform.
Listen, I feel very blessed. I feel very excited about the fact that this has become a global community. People who show up, who want it, who are excited about it. And you guys are stuck with me in some capacity. And I'm just really relishing this moment and excited to see it grow.
Do you think you will continue to do it in person? Once things calm down and return somewhat to normal?
It's hard to say. There's so much uncertainty in the world, There's so much uncertainty of what that even means. I intend to stay connected with everyone the best way that we all can, safely and intelligently, So whatever that will be, I've always been a natural chameleon, and I like to reinvent myself as well, and I'm always curious. So who knows? I mean, sky's the limit, baby. You know what I mean? More is more.
I want to describe Torched for people who are just listening to this and they're just meeting you for the first time. It really is, they say Soul Cycle is like dancing on a bike. This really is, it gives you the similar feeling that does, because you're doing everything to the rhythm and the beat of the music. And that's a testament to your training as a dancer and somebody who is so in tune with music and the ability to move. Yeah.
It's a targeted flow. I see it really as the entire thing is a dance, but I want to make it clear that this is not dance cardio. This is not a dance class. I don't do that. I was trained as a dancer. You know what I mean? And so this is dance conditioning, and it's thoughtful, and it's effective, and it's targeted, and it's a flow that everyone can and should do, because it's not about, you don't have to be a dancer to do it, but it's using the technique of that to reinvent your body, to get your body majorly in tune, in check, and as strong as you can.
It's also very meditative.
I've heard that.
I do find that I am more clear. My mind is...
It's mental, it's physical, it's emotional, it's fun, It does that for me too, in the sense that it gives me a sense of normalcy every day. It gives me a sense of excitement every day to see the names and the comments and the laughter. It makes me lift my leg a little higher. Okay, makes me lift dead ass a little higher. So it's good.
The last thing that I want to just chat about and bring attention to, one of the best parts of this whole community and the thing that you're doing is not only do you go live every day at 11 a.m., you're also going live every evening, and you do this Torched After Dark. You go live at 9 o'clock at night, and it's just you with your friend DJ Steph, who does all the music, and you're just sipping bourbon, and you're literally just hanging out, answering questions, and you do this every weekday. And it's really this amazing opportunity for people to get a little closer to you and just literally just hang out every day in a less formal way.
I did it firstly because and I stand by this, I'm a very inclusive person, because I was excluded against my entire life, really. In some way, I always felt like an outsider, and I think that's good in some ways, in that it made me strong. but it can have a different effect on people. But I don't think that's what, I don't want to make anyone feel like that. And so I was like, I feel like I'm just calling out too many famous people during Torch. Like, I love it and I know them and I work with them, but I don't want people to feel like, oh, he only cares about her because she has an Oscar. You know what I mean? That's not me. I care about her because I like her and I know her. So I was like, you know what? And also I'm sweating a lot during Torch. So, and I'm kind of to be honest, I'm kind of nearsighted. So if I see Jessica Chastain, I can see just like that it's her. Then I'm just like, hey, baby, like I know it's her. So I call her out. So I was like, I want to do something where I can connect to everyone and actually sit. They can get to know me a little better. I like a good evening drink. Sorry about it. Like that's what I
You always have like a Madonna album playing front to back. I mean, I love that you will play the entire erotica album. You'll play the entire Bedtime Stories out. It's just the greatest.
You know, particularly that. I mean, in my opinion, she's a concept artist. You know, like every era is a theme, and so to me, her albums are representative of that. I've never done a shuffle on a Madonna album because I think that I can imagine that she's the type of person that cares where the songs are. Yeah. So it's like there's a catharsis to it that I just like to be a part of. But anyway. It's been cool to talk to people who are not in the industry, people who are all over the world, people who tune in every day and want the opportunity to talk to me, and I want the opportunity to talk to them. So I've been doing them on split screen and just meeting people from everywhere. So much fun, so great, so sweet, like families and husbands of the wives who do it. And the husbands are like, thanks, Isaac, her ass looks great. I'm like, oh my God.
We have to talk about Michael Rapaport.
Oh, yes, that was amazing.
He jumped in your Torched After Dark, and basically his wife does Torched, and they're in LA quarantining right now, and he like filmed himself doing it and like sent you the video or like tagged you in the story, and that is just
it was really cool. I'm a big fan of his. I love comedians, and I love sort of off the cuff comedians too. That's just my kind of humor. And I've never met him in life, so I was very pleasantly surprised and pleasantly excited to have them on, and it was just great.
Hilarious. Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you and do the class online.
Instagram, baby, at Isaac Boots, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, every day, baby.
Get into it. I can't say enough amazing things about it. I mean, you really are. Your star just completely rose during this time where, so many, I feel like you really were able to harness this time and create this unreal future for yourself.
Thank you.
And
thank you so much.
It's been incredible to watch because
thank you.
I was there when there was just like 30 people in the Soul Cycle class, and I loved you, and I've been following you all these years, and it's just like, holy shit, like he made it. He really made it.
Thank you. Well, I'm just really happy that people keep coming back, and it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me wanting to grow it and cultivate it even more, so it's a beautiful thing. But mostly important is the fact that everyone has contributed to No Kid Hungry and how much we've raised. It's very important to me that in a time like this, we have something to show that we've actually helped, even just a little bit. And I don't know, I just think it's important that when you can give, you do, because it could be any of us that are in a situation where we have nothing. I just feel very strongly about that.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're the greatest. And you guys follow Isaac Boots. You guys can follow me, JessXNYC. Follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives. And we'll see you soon.